All right, so we're going to be talking about how to find expired domains with traffic. Concept that I'm playing with a whole bunch, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But this is really just the tactical part on how do we go about finding an expired domain that has traffic. It's a little kind of like concept on like, why does that matter? And, often when people are looking for expired domains, we're looking at, domain rank, trust flow, DA, PA, a whole bunch of backlink metrics. And all those backlink metrics really are as a proxy for the amount of love that Google's going to give a site. And so by looking at a domain that has traffic, that has a history of having traffic, that's really a much more sort of like starting from the base of what Google, what we can say with certainty Google really cares about a site. And so, using these proxies of domain metrics, awesome, works, it's good, but it's not as great as getting that sort of like primary source. Yeah, this site is sweet. And so what we're seeing in this graph right here is actually one of the sites that I bought right in this dip when it was expired, threw a bunch of low competition keywords on it, content around a bunch of low competition keywords, and sweet spike in traffic. So this is all about, how do we find those expired domains with traffic? Here are the steps. Spamzilla, sweet tool, used a lot. Search for a domain, a DR greater than 9. I got a little bit of data on why that matters. It seems to be the breakpoint where sites have higher probability of doing well. Traffic, just an initial filter of greater than 10, and then digging into the what's available. Check the data on SEMrush, check the URL on Ahrefs, check archive, and then buy at auction. And I like to put in my last best and final bid, 5 minutes and 5 seconds left in the auction, and then walk away. Unless I really care about the site, and then I'll get sucked into the auction. But that's kind of my strategy. So let's go through, doing an example live here. All right, so let's go to Spamzilla. This is Spamzilla. Let's clear the filters. All right, so we're at 4 million domains in this tool, and let's apply a few filters here. So again, DR, let's go 9, whatever, traffic 10, whatever. Let's pick an auction ending, reasonable timeline from now. Deselect all, and just go with GoDaddy auctions. I find that's where most of the domains are, so there's not much point in looking elsewhere. And then we can cap the price at 200 because there'll be a few great domains that we won't want to, that people will be bidding on. The other kind of concept that's relevant to I think that's the problem. Yeah, so for some reason I deselected all TLDs. So marketplace domains, GoDaddy auction, apply filter. So it gets us down to 122. Filter based on the SEMrush traffic first, and now we can see these domains are about to expire in the next handful of days, and this is the amount of traffic that SEMrush is showing that they have. So I'll go and look at the first pass at the URL. I'll skip over any of these that look like they were restaurants. Those look like restaurants. Honestly, fit if you're going to have a. So now I'm really just looking at the URL for ones that might be a decent site to build a site upon. Not great to build a site upon kind of an old restaurant, especially if this traffic is likely going to be very branded traffic. Some weird domain names like all right, so I've got a handful opened up, and then we'll just go and have a quick look at that site. So this site is getting a ton of traffic, 154,000. Instagram name checker sounds. That's the thing that you want to build upon. That sounds pretty awesome. So this one would certainly be worth digging into. While that's loading, we won't wait around. We'll slam so we can go down, look at what the traffic was. Okay, so this is definitely a restaurant. So it depends what if that's your thing, great. But there's a lot of restaurants that have traffic, and what you'll see is it's all very branded traffic. Monk fruit versus stevia, calorie skiing. That's all what it's currently ranking for. Chia seed overdose. Didn't know that was a thing. 110 people are concerned about that a month apparently. Um, so stable traffic. This one, if you're going to be building a fitness site, this looks like a great site to start on based on this pass. This is also interesting. Okay, so this is some kind of weird branded thing going on that was ranking probably. Yeah, okay, so I didn't worry about that one. This one, feed us 3 cheats. This is kind of some kind of app, so likely really low CPC, really low earnings. And so what's great about SEMrush is you can get the historical earnings on the site. And so traffic cost. See if it's still loading, but 437 traffic, 0 cost, but it's all kind of gain related. So probably not a great site to start off with. And so what we've got is honestly fit, and so you can pick sort of a recent peak for it. And it'll estimate the sort of value of the traffic based on the traffic cost and how much traffic it was getting, what pages it was currently ranking for. So this is a great one. The next checks that I would do would be to take this site, put it into Ahrefs, put it into archive. Put this one into archive. What we're looking for in archive is just to see that there wasn't any kind of weird 301 redirect, especially at the end where the site has now been moved, and you won't be able to recover any rankings. So ideally, you're looking at kind of the most recent and then one of the most recent popular ones, just to get a sense on what the type of content was. It seems like a fairly standard content site that for whatever reason they let expire, even though it was getting a decent amount of traffic. Good looking domain name. And then here's the backlink profile, DR31. This is a great, relatively low referring domains of only 59. Take a look at the backlinks, and really what we're after here is just real and relevant. Does it make sense that terrabranch.com linked to this honestly fit? What is mindfulness? Looks like it. And then we're looking at, you don't want too many spammy backlinks. Confidential. So we're just looking like we're going to always have this kind of like, I call it crappy backlinks in there. Doesn't necessarily mean that they were manipulated. What we're really after is just kind of confirmation that there's some real relevant sites that are linking as it makes sense, as it would make sense. And so, I mean, initially this looks, good site. So those look like real links to me. So we got a site here that we've seen that is currently for sale, probably going to go for a decent penny. Honestly fit, great domain, great backlinks, already got great content. It's going to be sold in the next 13 hours in 2 minutes. I'm probably going to put a bid on it, see if I get it or not. So you'll get to see that domain. And yeah, so it kind of meets all the criteria that we're after. DR greater than 9, well above that. Traffic greater than 10, that's just it's not what we're after. That's just the first filter that we put in place. And then you can crawl through all of these, because what you'll find, and the ones that I picked weren't great examples, but you'll get some that will have, like it showed in this picture. I was buying this domain right here. So the traffic was down to 10, but when you look, the website came offline around here. And so it was actually reasonable to assume that it was going to get back to kind of this level of traffic, which it did relatively quickly, and then skyrocketed with new content. So we're not after that. The most it had ever had was 10. We're after like, oh, right now it at least has some, and then we can dig into it and see that hopefully there was a period of time recently where it had a bunch more. This honestly fit one still is getting a bunch of traffic, which isn't a bad thing. That doesn't rule it out. It just makes it a lot of people are going to have their eyes on this domain. So I mean, I'm in Canada. It's Thanksgiving week in the U.S., so maybe that'll be an opportunity for me to scoop it relatively cheap. But hopefully, this was a useful video on just how to go about finding an expired domain that already has traffic. And so, just to summarize, open Spanzilla, search for domain DR greater than 9, traffic greater than 10 to get that first filter. Check an SEMrush. What we're trying to find is ones that have are ranking for keywords, informational keywords, and not just branded keywords. Check an Ahrefs to look for real relevant keywords. Check an archive to see that the content is quality informational content and there's nothing weird happening, especially at the end of the domain and like the end of the snapshot, like the last snapshot of it from archive, that there wasn't like a 301 redirect to show that it's removed, and then buy it at auction. And I like to put my my best last final bid in it, like 505, and then walk away. Again, sometimes I get sucked into the auction. So that's about it. Hopefully this was useful. I think that's about it. I guess there could be a follow-up video that talks about how do you go about you know rebuilding a site, creating content that is relevant to the original content, not copying the content. I got a lawyer involved once to kind of question, is this like content that's been thrown out? Is this like public good now because it's been thrown out? And the answer was a clear no. So that's not the right way to go about doing it. But getting content that's created that serves a similar purpose to the content that was there before on the best pages is the way to go. So yeah, hopefully this was helpful. Happy to answer any questions. Thanks, guys.